If you haven't figured it out already, I'm fascinated by the idiotic Union Township DORA. Just yesterday, I put out a video of behind the Michaels and uh, Home Goods and Sims Furniture that is part of the DORA. And I wanted to go back and look at how did this thing ever get approved? So I pulled the meetings where it was discussed, and the total amount of conversation on this DORA was about 10 minutes. And it says a lot about the questions that were never asked by the trustees or law enforcement or anybody during the two meetings in which it was considered. I want to put up here, this is a map of the overall DORA, and it's cut off a little bit at the top there, but the open field area that I was in yesterday behind Sims Furniture, that is owned by the Union Township CIC, and it seems absolutely moronic that an undeveloped, open, uneven field is part of an open drinking area now in the township. As long as you buy your cup of beer at or whatever at a participating merchant and have it in a DORA cup. Then to the south of that is the 32 East Center Delaware LLC that owns all of that property. I don't have any idea. I've asked, and I'm getting the runaround on records. Were they consulted? Did they approve their property and their parking lots becoming part of an open drinking area or not? Then you have the Jungle Gyms area that's owned by the UTCIC, Union Township Community Investment Corporation. I've asked for the master lease agreement that Jungle Gyms has on that, and I guess they're looking for that. Another thing that should be right at hand, because that would dictate what rights the government versus Jungle Gyms and the people who have leased from Jungle Gyms have over the property. And then the whole area down below that's by the Union Township Board of Trustees. By the way, if you pay closer attention on these maps, you notice asinine things like you can walk along Eichholz Road drinking beer now, as long as there's no sidewalks there. Don't worry about that. But as long as you have a DORA cup, because it extends out to both sides of Eichholz Road based on the township's own map. Now, but what I wanted to do here, though, is look at the two meetings at which this was discussed, because just it's a study in the stupidity of government. I think DORAs should be as a result of merchants like restaurants and bars that come to the government and say, hey, we would like our area around us to be a DORA. But what's happening is that idiotic people in government are just creating these things and forcing them on the merchants. And we'll see here, I've sped it up, so it's going to play at 1.5 speed. The entire length of meetings was about between 10 and 11 minutes total across two meetings that was spent discussing this item. And I'm going to play both. It's about 7.5 minutes the way I have edited. So let's take a look at those meetings.
All right, so let's move on to public hearings. Mr. Wright, let's talk about DORAs.
Sure, Mr. McCormick, if you'd like to put the picture of the DORA up. So if you recall, on the DORA, there's a very specific process that the board has to follow to create the DORA. Ms. Orr had a great presentation on that, application complete, all of that. The map is here, so really what we have to do is the next step is we have to hold a public hearing. We have to notice it appropriately, which we have done. And really what this is not to revisit the content of the application, but just to have the public hearing to open and close that and to listen to comments and feedback in that regard. So not suggesting any changes to the application at this time. The area, as you see it, you can clearly see it there. It's 32 East, Jungle Gyms, and the Civic Center. Obviously, I think we measured it's 71 acres. So I obviously believe that we're over 50,000. We have to find a source that says it. I actually found Esri source that says we're over 50,000. So we have to get liquor control to certify that, I guess, or whatever. But
So I think when he says over 50,000, he's talking about the population of Union Township, which somehow lets them have more open drinking areas. I don't know that it has any impact on how many marijuana shops we have, but we know that Mr. Logan, Mr. Dills in particular, are pretty focused on open drinking and marijuana. By the way, this is the June 11th meeting of the trustees, and then we'll see. This is going to be I believe, the hearing, the first discussion, and then the second one, and the approval is on July 9th.
right now we get 3 and 320 acres, but we could be up to 6 and 640 acres apiece. So this is really the first foray, truly on the east side, that you get that. And I think of, the opportunities for the vendors from an economic development perspective. Really, these places function in and of themselves, and I think.
So I just want the opportunities for the vendors. I don't know what that means. I don't know if La Rosa's or any projections were done that La Rosa's, RJ's, Rincon and Jungle Gyms are expecting some massive amount of more beer and wine and liquor sales because of this. But I can tell you that all of the merchants in these strip malls, other than them, and I don't even think them, nobody really wants this. Nobody wants it. They, it's Spectrum, T-Mobile, the pet store. These are not walkable areas like a restaurant area like Loveland or downtown Milford. This is a strip mall with strip mall stuff. There's a denture place, baby store, home goods, other homeware type stores. None of them want it. And by the way, Sportsman's Warehouse that's in this map, they're legally not allowed to have alcohol around because they sell firearms. So why would you draw Sportsman's Warehouse in part of a DORA when you know that legally, regardless of a DORA, there can't be alcohol around the sales of firearms?
I think it's a marketing opportunity, it's an economic development incentive, but just think of the fireworks. Like, the fireworks might be it's a big deal. And the nice thing is we hold ours after the EVN fireworks, so we're the only game in town, and we're the biggest game in town in September. So I think that could be transformational in that, and really it's about establishing a bridgehead or a foothold here so that we can continue to grow and incentivize things as new development comes down the pike, particularly in the Eastgate South area.
So I want to be real clear here. So their real motivation, this has to do with their once a year fireworks event that's at some strange time that nobody else is having fireworks, doesn't tie to July 4th or any particular holiday for something relevant to the township. And they're so focused on beer drinking at the fireworks that they could disregard the merchants. The merchants probably aren't even open during the fireworks. But these places like Michael's, Burlington Coat Factory, Home Goods, they don't want nothing to do with drinking around their places. But this is government come first. We matter, you don't. And I still don't know what our trustees are wanting. Are they wanting places like Burlington Coat Factory and Michael's to move so that those places can be converted into bars and liquor places? It's completely ridiculous. But seeing what Corey's saying, this has nothing to do with any of these vendors or merchants wanting this. This has to do with we're government. We want to have a fireworks thing, and Michael Logue and his buddies want to drink it up, I guess, during the fireworks.
With that, I'll be quiet, and we can open the public hearing. So,
Okay, is there anybody who would like to speak on this topic at the doors? Okay, not seeing anybody, we will,
I also learned that I do not believe they notified any of the merchants or any of the landowners involved with this DORA. The statute is written horribly, and the statute only requires that they put a notice in the newspaper, which I guess would be the Claremont Sun. And so, for example, the 32, what is it called, East LLC, Delaware LLC, they're not going to be reading the Claremont Sun. So there was no notice. And I just want to make this clear. Joe Dills and Michael Logue, Joe Dills in particular, ran on a platform of informing people more proactively in the community before the trustees made decisions that would affect them. But we see in real life what happens. They've not done anything but more than the prior trustees did that were supposedly evil when it comes to zoning. And when it comes to this DORA stuff, I don't believe any of these merchants or the landowners would have any clue that this was going on. But I'm asking for the records, and we'll see what I get.
we will move on.
so we need an open. So you had a motion to open the public hearing and a motion to close the public hearing.
Need a motion?
Of course, they screwed up the hearing.
Okay, then, Mr. Logue, I would like a motion to open a public hearing to discuss the DORAs.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Public hearing on the DORA is now open.
Okay, and I will ask again. Anybody here that would like to testify for or against, or as an interested party for the DORA? Come on up.
Awesome. Yeah.
I need to swear you. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Your name and address for the record, please.
Leah Esterline, 4346 Cider Mill Drive, Union Township.
You have the floor, go ahead.
Thank you. It's a question. So I'm here because I've never been to this before, and I wanted to know what it was like, and I was interested in this. If both sides are going to be part of the DORA, and the concept of DORA is that people are going to be walking and drinking, is there going to be some kind of initiative to make walking to all these different destinations easier?
Mr. Wright, you want to?
Sure. So a couple of things. There is a signalized intersection, and we're actually working on. There's a mid-block crosswalk there currently. Mr. Taylor's wrapping up some quotes on some thermoplastic. They call them piano key crosswalks, and they call them RRFBs, which are the rapid flashing beacons, which are activated by pedestrians in order to do that. And you'll see those in other places where they're trying to incentivize that pedestrian activity. I think what you'll probably see here is the majority of the liquor permits are really concentrated at the jungle gyms.
So I just want to interrupt here for a second. He addresses that it's dangerous to cross the street, which I've shown in my videos, even with their whatever, all these acronyms I guess they have in government for a crosswalk with lights. It's still dangerous, but he never mentions getting through these parking lots. The setup of this is that people are going to be walking through parking lots with active moving cars while drinking. This makes no sense. I've brought up, shouldn't you have some sort of maybe a pathway painted onto the parking lot with appropriate signage? This is where the people drinking are supposed to walk to get back and forth across the street so that they don't get, cars can see it and know it, and people can be told to walk in a safe area where they might not get hit by a car. He only addresses the crosswalks, which we already know, even installed, is super dangerous down there to try to cross Eastgate South Drive. So let's keep going.
Property. So what you will see probably is this gives the property owner or the folks there, the ability to organize things like sip and shops. If you go over to Jungle Jim's, what's really cool.
There is nobody going to organize a sip and shop in this place. The kind of stores in this place are not sip and shop places. Baby clothing store, gym shoe store, home goods places, T-Mobile. The notion, this is just like some fantasy thing. I see why Corey didn't work out in Loveland, I guess, because this is idiotic to think that this would be effective planning or logical planning. But let's keep going.
Is if you go stand over at RJ's and you look down, it's almost like they have their own main street there. And so I can see a lot of that engagement and that back and forth.
Okay, I can tell you I've been there. There is absolutely no engagement of a group of people going, oh, this is awesome. There's like a little walkway here. Or I can walk between RJ's and La Rosa's and Jungle Jim's drinking. I don't even know what's between there. The yogurt shop, there's not a single place in between there that would allow you to come into their shop with a beer in between in that little quarters describing. It's just like, I guess, he thinks this is like the mall area in Kings Island. It's just beautiful. But it is crazy. It's nonsensical. I already pointed out, too, that Jungle Jim's never even bothered to replace its signs saying that you can't take liquor or alcohol beyond the point of its fence.
Forth and all that. So that's positive. And then also that could migrate up to the Civic Center, particularly for our robust summer concert series and things like that. And we actually...
I love this robust summer concert series. This guy should... Obviously, he wants to be a part of... He could work with Kamala on being a spokesperson for some Democrat thing to have all this bullshit flowery words.
We actually are working on a pedestrian path now between there and here that's not up a 45-degree incline. So, but yes, as this grows, there will be additional pedestrian.
So on June 11th is when he's talking about we're working on a pedestrian path. As far as I can tell, that pedestrian path was not done being ADA compliant, which I think would be required for such a pedestrian path. Half-assed is the new way of doing things in Union Township. Completely half-assed. The whole DORA is half-assed. The rape trail path is half-assed. This is the way it is. But I think Corey is in a position. He already left once because of these clowns. He can't leave again because his resume will be destroyed. So he has to go along with this stuff, I guess. Or he just has no balls and he can't stand up to these guys saying this is stupid. That if we're going to put in a path between the concert area and the township center and Jungle Jim's back parking lot, we need to do it properly according to ADA. He's probably not allowed to say that because he'll end up getting fired and he won't be able to get a job anywhere. So it's like he's in Stockholm syndrome.
Enhancements in that. So
Great, thank you so much.
How about a shuttle service? That would help, right? Back and forth.
Somebody yells out about having a shuttle service because anybody in their right mind knows this makes no sense. This is not a walkable area. You would literally need a people mover to drive you around between the different parking lots. It would be like making the parking lots of Kings Island into a DORA.
Ma'am, sometimes would you please fill out a comment card and bring it up here?
So instead of addressing what she brought up, they, I guess, are critiquing her because she didn't fill out a comment card. But okay, let's keep going.
I'd like to speak on this topic. Okay, then motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes,
Motion carries.
So are we done talking about it then?
I think we are.
Do you have a comment on it? I have some questions. Board comments? First,
So get how dumb this is. They closed the public hearing, and now Joe Dills wants to talk about it after they closed the public hearing. They were supposed to have comments from the trustees prior to closing the public hearing, but we live in the Brody Conover world of paying for a lawyer to give you the answer you want versus competent legal advice, and they just kind of go along with it. And either Corey's a moron and doesn't know what the law or rules are, or he's in such a, castrated position that he's not even able to bring up to these guys, this isn't the way we're supposed to do this. We're not doing it in the proper manner.
Yeah, go ahead.
Reservoir Downs.
Talk about it right now.
Or actually, Mr. Ray, how long from this time when you start talking about it to the time it's done and ready to rock and roll? How long is that time? I think I asked that question last time, I just forget.
So there's a timeline in here. So if you look at the nice line graph that Ms. R put together, we are here. So so basically, June 11th, you have the hearing, and then we have so many days to adopt legislation, which puts us at July 9th to approve or disapprove legislation, and then we file that, and it's 30 days after that resolution's in effect. So it'll be in place in August.
So she started in April, August?
Yep,
Finished,
yep.
So 4 months.
It's about a 4.5 month process.
And this is a question for Chief as well, Reese. And I'll just play devil's advocate for a moment. If, for some reason, I don't think this will be the case. You see downtown Milford, you see downtown Leavenworth, things are fine. But hypothetically, it gets crazy. We want to cut the DORA off. How do we do that if it goes, for some reason, we don't like it, it's crazy, crime spikes, whatever, fill in the blank. Hit and runs out, whatever. What happens?
So first of all, the businesses have the ability to either participate or not participate. So the businesses can put stickers that say DORA welcome or not welcome. We had that in Loveland. Some of them wanted to do it, some of them didn't. But the process to amend or repeal DORA is exactly the same as the process to establish DORA. It's the same process. So we can change the boundaries, we can do this, we can do that.
Okay, perfect. That's all I got. Thanks, sir.
Now, notice Dills asked a question specifically to Chief Tony Reese, but Corey Wright answered the question. Later, I found out that Tony Reese, Chief of Police, wasn't aware that there was a safety plan included with the application that you would think your police chief would have reviewed. But in a yes man culture, nobody brings up this or nobody's offended. That's one thing about a yes man culture. If you have professional people, if they are slighted or left out of the decision process, they get pissed off. When you have a yes man culture, they don't get pissed off because everybody is just at their own level of incompetence and they're all part of a crony system. So they can't get pissed off about, for example, not being included as the police chief in the safety plan for the DORA drinking area. And not, I mean, if Tony Reese would have approved of there being an open drinking area in an undeveloped field back on loading docks of stores, then he should be gone. I mean, that would be so ridiculously incompetent as a law enforcement professional to think that that made any sense to have open drinking allowed behind buildings in open undeveloped fields. But as far as I could tell, he wasn't even aware. When I asked him for a copy of the safety plan, the policing plan, he said there was no record responsive. Later, I got the application and there was a safety plan in the application. So apparently he was not involved in the safety plan that was submitted for this, which is, if it, like I said, Tony proved to me not a yes man culture, you should be pissed. If you are not in a yes man culture, you should be pissed about being slighted and not included in the safety plan. You should also be pissed about drawing a map where people can drink behind buildings on their loading docks and in open undeveloped fields.
Anything else on doors?
That's a great timeline because it hits and gets us to be in effect before that end of summer fireworks.
Yep.
And
So all they care about is the fireworks. They're going to fuck up all these businesses because dumbass Michael Logue, Joe Dills, and John Becker want to get tanked up, I guess, at the fireworks. I know that John Becker only drinks non-alcoholic beer. I don't know what Joe drinks. I think Logue can put him away pretty good. So this focus on marijuana and drinking, that's the legacy of this team. We're good at these things. We're not good at any new economic development that matters, like TQL type good jobs. But this is
got a bar set high, I think, for what we're able to do on that. So that's awesome. Keep up the great work.
great
All right,
work,
let's move on to old
everybody.
business. So
Okay, so that is the end of the first thing, which is the June 11th hearing. Now on July 9th, they have to approve the legislation to move this. And so let's go and watch what happens on July 9th in the total of about 10 to 11 minutes of activity. Now I've sped this up so it's a little shorter, but let's go. Now this is going to be the July 9th meeting.
now we're down to item C, the legislative agenda. Mr. Wright, tell us about resolution 2024-38 having to do with the DORAs.
Thank you, sir. So if you recall, this is sort of a long and arduous process. The state prescribes to have an outdoor refreshment area. You know, we filed an application.
I'm going to pause here just because there's something I should have mentioned that I didn't in about the June 11th meeting. Did you notice that none of the trustees asked a question like, Did we survey the merchants on if they want this? Did we confirm with the landowners that it was okay? Do we have a safety plan? Do we have a proper sanitation plan? None of that. They don't ask a single relevant question during the June 11th hearing. So now we're up to July 9th. Let's see what happens here. Let me pick it up.
You know, we noticed it, have to post notice in a particular manner. We held a public hearing on June 11th. We did receive one comment regarding pedestrian activity. I'm pleased to report Mr. Taylor is actively working on what's called a rapid, it's an RRFB. It's basically a rapid flashing beacon at the mid-block crossing in front of
RRFB.
Jungle Gyms and 32 East. And there's an associated MOU with the county, which we took care of already, and I think the product's been ordered, so it should be.
That means memorandum of
Yep, so
understanding.
you'll see it, push button activated. You know, we had them in level and they were very effective. They do a great job. Nobody get run over. Nope, nope.
They are completely ineffective. I have shown that in a video. You can hit that button and watch the car scream by because it's a completely effing asinine place to put a crosswalk in the middle of a active road where people are moving quickly, and there's no particular reason why there would be a crosswalk where they have put it.
So, and so that we address that, and then, you know, as the area continues to develop and expand, you know, Mr. McCormick does a good job, you know, in advancing consistent policy.
Everybody does a good job. Mr. McCormick did a great job on taking away all of the fascia standards for new construction of commercial properties in Union Township, and that's why we got effing ugly shit going up everywhere, like the Big B Coffee and the pot shop on Mount Carmel Tabasco Road that look like complete crap. Because for some reason we got rid of the standards to have brick or stone fascia on buildings when no developer had ever challenged those standards. That's the work of Mr. McCormick. It will be a good day when he leaves. It would be a good day when he leaves, because I don't think they've even done anything. I don't think the guy does shit, and they haven't done anything to put standards in place. It was like a year plus ago that they were going to put new standards in place after they took away the standards specifically to allow a pot shop not to have to meet the architectural standards that have been in place in the township for years. That's how bad this is.
Policies, making sure that projects include sidewalks, you know, so we can further expand that if necessary and all those things. So, you know, all those things, we're at the end of the road here. So per ORC, you know, we have between 30 and 60 days after the initial publication of the notice to approve the application. So we have to have that to us this evening. We actually did forward a copy of the legislation, which was approved by our law director, up to liquor control. They've looked at everything. I think we got the silent blessing before, you know, but ultimately the board has to act on it and vote to establish it. So that's what you will be doing this evening, and then we'll file the resolution, everything with them, and then it goes into effect, I believe, August 8th, something like that. So appreciate your support in that.
Okay, Mr. Logan?
Hey, thank you for executing it and getting it done. It's been something I've been interested in for the community for quite some time, being able to.
Absolutely. Michael Logue loves getting himself some drink on and some marijuana. These are the things that he's interested in the community. By the way, he was also interested in a strategic plan. I don't know what happened with that. And he also claimed that he had saved the mall, which looks like increasing blight every day. So maybe the marijuana and the drinking should cut off on those things and focus more on stuff that actually matters for families within our area.
Able to utilize the state law that allows us to have DORA districts. So I think it's an added resource to bring to the community and the businesses that want to work with it. Just great work on the team executing this.
So who are the businesses that want to work with it? See, that's the thing I want to bring up. I don't think that the merchants that were involved, you know, if they did a survey of the merchants, almost every one of them is against this. And I would be shocked that La Rosa's, Jungle Gyms, and RJ's really think it's a strategic thing for them to be having beer and liquor that can be carried around in the parking lot. I don't think that's going to generate business for them, as is evidenced by Jungle Gyms didn't even put up their stickers as of the last time I was there. RJ's never put up their stickers, nor did they take down the signs on their fence saying you can't take alcohol beyond this point. La Rosa's is the only one that has the stickers up, and I'm sure that's not what they consider to be strategic for their business, to sell beer for people to go walk around in the parking lot with. So let's finish this out.
Putting this together. Thank you.
It's all good? Perfect. Yeah, it's something I'm really looking forward to as well. So, Mr. Logue, I would like a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-38.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Campbell, roll call, please.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So that's it. I want to put the map back up here so you can see the topology of this nonsense. I also want to note that the official map had that down in the lower right corner there. You can see Ambiance Nail and Spa was supposed to be part of this, but apparently they dropped out. So that entire 32 East Center, Delaware LLC area has not a single, the only participant I'm aware of in that whole area is Rapid Fire Pizza. And well, I take that back. The burrito place might be part of it too. Neither of them sell alcohol, but they have this, you can bring alcohol in. Okay. But there's nobody in that whole area of Eastgate South that has a liquor license or permit whatsoever. And I find it hard to believe that somebody's going to go buy a beer at La Rosa's and then carry it through the parking lot across the street and drink beer while having a Rapid Fire Pizza when they could have gotten La Rosa's pizza in the mix. So that's the map. That's the entirety of the discussion. The complete lack of notice to these merchants or businesses, and the complete disregard of whether this makes any sense for any of them. What I think you're finding is that many of the merchants, it's so stupid that many of the merchants aren't even putting up their stickers at all because they don't figure anybody's ever going to even ask them because it's so stupid that T-Mobile and Spectrum and places like this isn't what they were looking for. Hey, we need people to be able to drink beer when they come in here. So I wanted you to see how bad legislation happens. And I'm telling you what, this is emblematic of the type of people right now that are our quote unquote conservative Republican leaders. They are opening the door to other people who can make the case pretty strongly that these people are inept, that they don't follow correct processes. They don't take the community interest into account, and they get focused on things like Michael Logue wanting more marijuana and alcohol within the community that doesn't make any sense for his supposed family, conservative Christian values. And finally, Ron Campbell sits up there, and he should frankly be ashamed of himself. He's allowed to talk during meetings, but he never does, basically. And he knows this is wrong. He once told me that he wasn't going to go to jail for anybody, and we'll see how that works out because he is, I would say he's really into that mode of get to where his keeping his mouth shut and not doing anything and then covering for these guys is moving us back into Doug Walker type fraud territory of a lack of diligence. Because, and I'm not dissing on Ron Campbell, I'm dissing on him because he should know better. I'm dissing on him because he should know better. These other guys are clowns. He knows it and I know it. And Ron Campbell, though, I've never seen as a clown, but he's somehow I must feel like he's, maybe they got something on him or something. But that allows this to go on without him saying anything or him asking any questions, even like, did we bother to check with any of the merchants? That's the update on the entire 10-minute process. This video is 3 times longer than the amount of time our trustees in Union Township took to make a radical change that none of the merchants seem to have wanted, to introduce beer drinking to strip malls that are completely disinclined to such type of